Hi, welcome to Antoinette's Training. This is one video in a series of how to house train your puppy. The method we're going to be talking about in this video is the newspaper method. If you'd like to see the introduction video to this series, click here. If you would like to see the prevention method, click here. If you would like to see the crate training method, click here. And if you'd like some general tips and tricks, click here. The newspaper method involves teaching your dog to only go on newspaper and then gradually moving this newspaper closer and closer to the door until you're teaching your dog to go outside. The newspaper method works best if your puppy was brought up right from the start using this method. So the pen where they were raised was completely covered in newspaper or something on the ground, and your dog learnt that it was okay to go on this surface. And as your dog gets better at this, the newspaper amount becomes smaller and smaller in their area, and then you continue to move this newspaper towards the door and then outside to the area where you'd like them to go. So when you're changing the paper once they've soiled it, only remove the essential layers necessary, so the ones that are really soiled or just the top few layers, so that there's still a smell there and they know that that's the newspaper that they're allowed to go on, and it's reminding them of what they want to do. Another trick for this one is making sure that your puppy's in a small area. So as I said, if your puppy's brought up on this method, they'll be used to being in a pen that's completely covered in newspaper. So if you then bring your dog home and you restrict it to one room and completely cover that in newspaper or a small pen, then your dog's going to continue that. Then gradually reduce the amount of area that's covered in newspaper until you're just down to one plain sheet. If your dog makes an accident during this time, then you'll need to re-enlarge that area. Once you've got the area down to one sheet, you can then start to move it to where you want to go. And this may be over the course of a couple rooms. Once your dog gets used to routinely going out to the same area to go to the toilet, leave some sort of evidence or smell so they can find that area again and they know what they need to do there. I don't personally like this method because it can set them up for failure. Not a lot of dogs are going to understand the difference between newspaper and something else you might have on the floor. I've also had times before where I've left catalogues on the floor and then my dog's gone on them because it doesn't understand the difference. Even later on in life, if they've been trained to go on newspaper, don't leave your newspaper on the floor. Shiloh came to us with this method having been used when he was little and recommended to continue. But what we found was that he just couldn't seem to transition from his complete area being covered in newspaper and less of the area becoming in newspaper. So we actually started to take him out every half an hour and use the prevention method. And if you want to check that out, it's up here. But you might find that the newspaper method works best for you, especially if you live in an apartment where you're not actually ever going to be training your dog to go outside and you eventually want to get them onto a bowling pad or something similar. Well, that's all for the newspaper method, but if you'd like to see some tips and tricks that are going to help you with this method and help speed up the house training process, click here for some extra tips and tricks. If you would like to see the prevention video, click on this link up here. If you would like to see the crate training method, click on this video here. I'll see you later.